Okay, we're live on Facebook now too. Frankie Russo, I'm on my couch in Brooklyn, right? So just to continue, because hey Dan, what's poppin', kid? Good morning to you. I'm gonna try to do the morning thing. It looked pretty good. It was obviously I got to take care of this light spot. I think we'll be all right. I got to find something over the weekend. My next show will be Monday morning. So I think if I take care of this light spot, we'll be good. Okay. So this is where we're going to roll now, right? So I did a show yesterday, and I always want to continue. First, I'm going to start with the Yankee updates. First, sports, right? So Giants are in training camp. We're going to get to a nice analysis on the football Giants. I'm going to give you a real drill down analysis, and then not tonight, but as we get closer to September, I think it's September 2nd, one of those days, and with the opening of the NFL. And then I'm going to, the NBA, which starts in October, the New York Knicks are presently in summer leagues. So I think the Knicks are going to make the playoffs, and we'll get to that. I'll give you my reasons why as we creep closer toward the October season, right? When the camp opens up. And I think at the end of October, the NBA starts, something like that around there. Now, talk about the Yankees. So we're going to talk about weapon. Yankees got to, we're past the trade deadline, and quite frankly, they cut it to chase. GM Cashman didn't want to get fleeced for second-tier starting pitching. If it was first tier, like the Greinke's and the Bumgardners and the DeGroms and the Scherzers, he definitely would have overpaid. He didn't want to overpay for second-tier, B+, A- starters. He didn't want to get fleeced. I don't blame him, right? So now we got to weaponize the bullpen. Our last win, we used 7 pitches. We ain't going to make it on that model. We have to drill down, and we got to assume that our starting pitching can't go the third time around. So you figure 4 or 5 innings, and if they're really good that day, maybe 6, right? So we got to start to weaponize the bullpen and see how we're gonna get our relievers to go more than 1 inning, because we got to get out of the traditional model that Booney and Rothschild got us in, where we go 4 and 5 with the starter, then we bring in Cayley, he goes 1, the Big O goes 1, Britton goes 1, Chapman goes 1, and we're looking at 5, 6, 7 pitches to win a baseball game. It's not gonna. We're not gonna pull this off, because we could do it, but we got to begin to start to look at the unorthodox, the unconventional approach to our bullpen. We have to become. Booney has to become his best version of Sparky Anderson, Captain Hook. He's got to get ready to that mentality. We can't allow big innings anymore. We can't allow, like we did in Boston, Tanaka it was like Jonathan Holder last year, and then Severino and Sabathia in Yankee Stadium, watching the Red Sox run around the bases with these big innings, and we're just out of the game, 8-run innings, and then we got to watch the Big O and Tommy Cayley get put into a game we're losing 8-3, instead of trying to hold the game close with the high leverage guys. That's how we have to do this. That's the only way we're going to be able to do this. And we're going to have more arms in there. We're going to have the Dylan Patansises. I don't know how built up Severino is going to be, but he'll go into the bullpen. So we're going to have to do something like that. So we have our goal is 3 pitches. That's our ultimate goal, and maybe 4. We'll have the 4th pitcher in the hole. So where, say, one of the 2 relief pitchers don't have it that day, we got to bring in another pitcher. So besides that, our goal is for a win is got to be 3 pitches. If the starting pitcher doesn't make it out of the first inning, then we got to bring in our Jonathan Loizaga, our Devi Garcia, our David Hale, our Nestor Cortez, and that's how we roll with this. The ultimate goal is to use 3 pitches to get a win. If we're going to use more than that, 1 more than that. That's how it has to 4. That's the most, not 7. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. We're not weaponizing the bullpen. In actuality, we're straining, and we're over. It's not being used in an economical. because we want quality from these relief pitchers, not quantity. Because once these relief pitchers go more than one inning, we got to rest them 2 days, right? We give them 2-day rest. We get 30, 40 pitches from Chapman, 30, 40 pitches from in the series, 30, 40 pitches from Chapman, 30, 40 pitches from Britton, 30, 40 pitches from the Big O, 30, 40 pitches from Cayley, 30, 40 pitches from Chad Green, and with the grace of God, 30, 40 pitches from Dylan Betances in a series, 30, 40 pitches from Severino, 30, 40 pitches, but probably get more from Cortez, Hale. We get Debbie Garcia and Loizaga. We got 9 pitches plus the 4 starters, 5 starters, 13 pitches we're going to carry, something like that, right? So that's how we'll leverage this thing, getting ready for the October run. We begin to, and then, so they get 2 days rest after the 40, 30 pitches. 2 days rest, and then we bring them back again. I think that's definitely one strategy that can work. So we'll see what the Yankee brass comes up with. So we're going to continue this conversation to see how the Yankees are going to strategize and weaponize their bullpen, because that's the only way we're going to have an October run. Unequivocally, that's the only way. So that's my take on the New York Yankees and our supposed. I believe we have a championship team, which we need a little more. We got pitching, but it's not in the traditional spots, right? We don't have the stud, the bulldog, the 2 bulldogs like the Astros have, and some of these other, like Boston has, like the Indians have. We have bullpen. Our studs are in the bullpen, and that's why, like all these other teams are going to throw their studs, their assets on the table. We got to throw our assets on the table by weaponizing them, not bringing them in when we're losing 8-3, but bringing them when it's 1-0. And Hap or Tanaka or CC or Domingo Germán don't have it. We got to get with the Captain Hook, Sparky Anderson mode. We got to get the best Boone imitation of Sparky Anderson, Captain Hook mode. That's it. And that's where we got to go. Rothschild could be the nice guy. Let Rothschild be the nice guy with these pitchers, because I don't like the way he builds these pitches. He builds them up in the untraditional way. I like fastball command, and then you drop the yakka. He likes 20 curveballs in a row because the analytics say they use the analytics wrong, in my opinion. Yankee pitching brass uses it wrong. At least the way it appears that way. I'm not sitting next to them outside looking in. I think they use it wrong. So Booney got to be like Booney's a savage. Booney's a savage with the everyday players. He's got them like savages. He's got to take that same mindset. I know Rothschild's overseeing the pitching, but Booney's got to take that same mindset and apply it to the Yankee pitchers. He's got to be the savage. This is not, no hurt feelings. I'm not trying to hurt, but we got to win baseball games. That's got to be Booney's approach, because as far as the Yankees are going to go, it's as far as our bullpen takes us. So he's got to put the assets on the table, not rely on Hap to go 7 innings, not rely on Tanaka to go 7 innings, not to rely on CC to go 7 innings. CC was a great pitcher 10 years ago. Unfortunately, he's good, but he's not what he was, right? And we need an enforcer. CC was the enforcer 10 years ago. He's not throwing 98. Another thing, they're jamming inside. They're throwing inside. They hit Voit in the face. They're going after Didi. They went on his back leg, a right-hander, and I think it was in Boston. We don't do that. They did it to Judgy. They're going up and in on Judgy. We're not protecting our hitters. That's another thing. We don't pitch inside. We have no inside command. We got to get the ball inside somehow. I mean, these pitches, these are professional pitches. We got to get the ball inside. I'm not saying we got to throw it behind the head, hit them I'm not saying hit them. I'm not saying chin music. I'm not saying throw at them. All I'm saying is we got to get the ball inside. We got to get them. We got to get that slider on the back leg of the lefty from the right hand, and the lefty's got to get our left-hander's got to get the slider on the back leg on the right-handed hitters, and then we get them to move their feet, and then we got action. We got to disrupt their timing. We got to throw the ball inside in Yankee Stadium. It's the only way we're going to win. So we're going to see how the Yankees are going to strategize this bullpen. They got to change the model right now. Where they take it, we're going to find out very shortly. This is Frankie Russo now. I'm kicking to the Trump update on the border wall. Okay, so I'm going to start with my vectors. Our great President Donald Trump had a rally last night. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to actually see I saw highlights. I mean, our president is absolutely incredible. Thank you, God, for our great president, Donald John Trump. And with the grace of God Almighty, we will have President Trump. I'd love to have him for 8 years, 12 years. We'll have him for the next 4 years. Hashtag 2020. That's absolutely, Dan. Trump 45, the greatest. Love President Trump and his absolute, he's a warrior, right? We didn't elect a priest. We elected a warrior, right? That's what we elected, and we got one. Thank you, Jesus, for the grace of God Almighty. So now I'm going to start with this vector, and I'm going to update the vector to show you why these vectors are so valuable, right? So here, in the years 2000 to 2001, I'm going to bring it forward to the present day. Here's the vector, right? Here it is. Here it is. Here it is, right? It's on my website. This vector is on my website. Vector number 3, you scroll down, frankierusso.media, americasteam.today. In 2000, the 9/11 Imam was Anwar al-Awlaki. So he was with Muhammad Atta in the San Diego terror cell. This is before September 11, 2001, the horrific hit on the World Trade Center. There was a 9/11 terror cell in Phoenix, Arizona. They were going to flight school, planning to blow us up, blow up buildings and blow us up, kill us, right? San Antonio, there was a terror cell, right? So now, with these terror cells in 2000, this vector here was what the San Antonio terror cell was using, because the 9/11 Imam was in San Diego with the FBI asset, Abu Sator Sheikh. He was the FBI asset that actually, in his house, was where the San Diego terror cell was, right? And apparently, according to the FBI agents, he didn't convey this to the FBI that he was reporting to, and that's what, because I believe unfortunately the horrific hit on the Twin Towers in 2011, September 11, 2001, was basically our intelligence community unfortunately got double banged by their informants. And one of them, I believe, outside looking in, I got my disclaimer, Frankie Russo show, right? I got my disclaimer. Outside looking in, no U.S. Congressional Oversight Committee, no International Atomic Energy Agency, no Joint Chiefs of Staff, no National Security Council, no access to classified docs, nor do I know anyone who has access to classified docs, court papers, judges' decisions, peer-reviewed journal articles, and well-sourced, well-researched open source articles. What we're searching for is a quasi-model, quote-unquote, statistical significance. In all likelihood, in all probability, we look for trends, differences, and patterns in the data, and then we conceivably reach reasonable, responsible conclusions. And by the way, we believe our conclusions are close. Classified information is the mean. We're within the standard deviation of the mean. The Russo disclaimer. So what we got here, right? So I got my disclaimer out there, right? So we believe that, like, conceivably Anwar al-Awlaki, based on his father was working for the Yemen government under Ali Abdul Salah. Anwar al-Awlaki's father. He was born to 2 Yemen nationals. Was Anwar al-Awlaki in New Mexico? He's American. He's America's Osama bin Laden. He was the 9/11 Imam, right? So we believe that Anwar al-Awlaki was also an FBI asset, and that's what we believe. And we think we're within obviously, I don't like the Russo disclaimer, we're within the standard deviation of the mean, which is the classified information. We're close. We believe that's true. So now, here's the vector. Here's the problem. Here's the vector that creates the issue, right? I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show it to you on the map as well to give you a nice idea of what we're talking about. This is the vector on my website. Here's the vector on my website. It's the 3rd vector. You scroll down, you'll see it. This is the vector that was used in the 2000s. This was the vector that was used in the 2000s. Oh, it looks backwards? Okay. Well, I can't do anything about that, but thank you for that information. So we're starting from the poppy fields of Mexico. starting from the poppy fields of Mexico, right? We could go different routes, right? We can go from here's a jihadi training camp over here. This was by a jihadi training camp in New Mexico, reported by Fox News. There was a jihadi training camp in New Mexico by the son of Siraj Wahhaj. Siraj Wahhaj is an unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center, no, 1990 World Trade Center bombing, and that dealt with. He was also the I think he was the very close associate. He may have been even the chauffeur of the Blind Sheik, the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. Iman, the spiritual leader of the terror cell, as is Anwar al-Awlaki was the spirit. He was whacked by a drone in 11, and the Blind Sheik died in his lifetime in prison, right? So we could go here from the poppy fields of in New Mexico. We go to the jihadi training camp in New Mexico, and then we can go to El Paso, Texas. Here's the vector to, so the El Paso, Texas, the vector to San Antonio. Then we go to Houston. Now this is where things get interesting, because from Houston, the vector is parallel to the Cartesian coordinate system, and that's the most effective vectors when they're parallel to the Cartesian coordinate system. So from Houston, Texas to New Orleans, Louisiana, then we go up through Macon County, Alabama, which is where the second, according to the FBI, Fox News, the second jihadi training camp is. Well, was anyway, because the FBI, I guess, put the hit on it. And as they did in New Mexico, this is Siraj Wahhaj's son's other training camp. And then we go past Atlanta, Georgia, Alabama, through Charlotte, North Carolina, into D.C. That's where the 9/11 Iman was at when he went from, he was in a San Diego mosque, and then from there he went to D.C. So the San Antonio terror cell, which was basically Al-Hamzi and this guy, Ronnie Hajar, they used the vector from San Antonio to Houston. This is actually a train route. And we take these position vectors and we convert them to pipelines. So these become a human assets pipelines for the Islamist strongholds in this country. They become human assets pipelines, logistical technological pipelines, money pipelines, weapons pipelines to support military strongholds inside the region, inside our infrastructure. So in DC, and then we could go up to Philadelphia, where the Philadelphia Hamas conference was in the 90s, the Philadelphia Hamas conference, and then go right into the streets of New York. So from the poppy fields of Mexico, this vector started in 2000, right? Now I'm going to show you the map to give you a little better visual. Here's the map that we created. We created this vector. Here's the map in October 17th. This was our part of our analysis for the Mandalay Bay shooting, which we still don't have the facts. We'll never have the facts because the federales basically mitigated their damages. The Hamas caucus, right, include the Hamas caucus, absolutely. That was in Philadelphia in the 90s. That's part of the trigger points that we have on I think my seventh vector on the Frankie Russo.media website, americasteam.nyc. So now we got the vector that we created in October of 17. This was part of our analysis of the Mandalay Bay shooting, which we believe, when it comes down to it, was the fourth crime scene was the U.S.-Mexican border. And we believe that if the federales didn't suppress the information, it would have came out that the fourth crime scene was the U.S.-Mexican border, and President Trump's border wall would have been a slam dunk, right? So here's the vector. Same thing is New York, D.C., going through Charlotte, North Carolina, down. Here's the map now, right? Past Atlanta, Georgia, into Macon County, the second jihadi training camp, down to with the Siraj Wahhaj's son, and then we're in New Orleans, Louisiana. Then the vector gets parallel to the coordinate system and gets Houston. So Houston appears to be the command center for this vector. The point, the trigger point for this vector is Houston, because of the the vector is parallel to the Cartesian coordinate system. We believe it's quite profound right here from Houston to New Orleans, because that Mexico's in play from Houston, San Antonio's in play from Houston, and from San Antonio, El Paso, Texas is in play, and then from El Paso, Texas, you got New Mexico jihadi training camp, and you got going right into Mexico, right? So this is the vector that President Trump is trying to shut down. Now, to give you a little more validity to the vector, in February of 2019, the New York Post published the vector. Here it is. Tracking heroin, how from the poppy fields of Mexico all the way to the streets of New York. Here's the vector that we're talking about. This was published, and here's the date. This was published in. By the way, I'm on Facebook Live, and I'm on YouTube Live. This was the vector that was published in the New York Post. This is the vector in February of this year. So we're ahead of the curve. We're always ahead of the curve. We're always ahead of the curve. We're always ahead of the curve. And it goes back to ABC when we had our pre-show and our live show on the 77 WABC. 143 hours we did over there. So just to show you the validity of this vector. Now, why am I doing this? I got an update for you to show you how important these vectors are, why we do this. Just to give you an idea. This is a Department of Justice press release. All right, so this is statistically significant. This is not, because we talk about court papers, judges' decisions, peer-reviewed journal articles, which are vetted articles, like the article I'm going to briefly show you today before I get off the air. This is the Justice Department press release, July 8th, 2019, right? This is a Justice Department press release. Texas man pleads guilty to attempting to provide material support to ISIS, right? Now, according to the Justice Department press release, a 20-year-old U.S. citizen from Houston, Texas. So we're in Houston now with this press release, right? And I showed you how Houston, because of the parallel vector from Houston to New Orleans is parallel to the Cartesian coordinate system, we believe, and we point, and I could show you with the Iranian vectors, which we believe we compare this vector to the Iranian vectors. And I'll show you that before I get off the air, how profound this is, right? So we got a U.S. citizen from Houston, Texas. He entered a guilty plea to attempting to provide material support to the Islamic State, ISIS, a designated foreign terrorist organization, according to the DOJ. From August 17 to December 17, Khan Shurkan attempted to join and support ISIS and provided information to other ISIS supporters about the use of machetes, listen to this, the homemade construction of an automated weapon, and how to build and use explosive materials. As part of his plans to join ISIS overseas, this is an American citizen. From early 17, Khan Shurkan had numerous online conversations with individuals he believed to be fellow ISIS supporters. During these discussions, Khan Shurkan described his intentions to travel overseas to fight for ISIS in Syria or Afghanistan. Khan Shurkan added that if he was unsuccessful in joining ISIS, he would conduct an attack on non-Muslims in the United States, and that it was his dream to be a martyr. You believe this stuff? You can't make this stuff up. Khan Shurkan also provided information to other ISIS supporters, and at least 2 separate occasions about ways to manufacture a bomb. Specifically, he described how to make explosives formula, and he mentioned this formula, TATP. Apparently, it's a formula that is quite profound within the bomb making world. Go figure. And cautioned the others to take to take safety seriously while you make. You believe this? He cautioned the others to take safety seriously while you make this to be useful until you can strike. This is a 20-year-old U.S. This is a 20-year-old U.S. citizen. This is why President Trump is 400% right about the U.S.-Mexican border. Beyond belief, right? He's so right. He's so much ahead of the curve, it's unbelievable. So Can Shurkan also provided other ISIS supporters with information about how to construct an automated weapon. He also claimed that he could buy a giant machete for $15 and stated, a lot of us are poor, so we don't have experience. So not all of us can get a gun or make explosives, but we can afford to buy a $15 knife. You believe this? He claimed that he slept with a machete under his pillow, ready to use if law enforcement raided his house. So when agents arrested this Can Shurkan, they executed a search warrant at his residence and found the machete by his bed. So the U.S. District Judge Andrew Hannon accepted the guilty plea, and he was set. The sentencing is set for September 30th, 2019. You believe this? Beyond belief. This is in Houston. This is in Houston. So I'm showing you data from 2011. So we have vectors that they're using, right? We have vectors that they're using from 2011, and according to the New York Post, so we have the radical Islamists that were using these vectors in 2000, and according to the New York Post, the Mexican drug cartel are using the same vectors that were used by the radical Islamists in 2000 for the horrific hit on the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. According to the New York Post, the Mexican drug cartel are using that same vector that the radical Islamists used it in 2000. In 2019, the Mexican drug cartel are using that vector to smuggle the drugs from the Mexican poppy fields all the way to the streets of New York. And now the DOJ arrested a U.S. citizen in July of this year, planning to join ISIS in Houston. This is this vector in Houston to materially support ISIS and bring in an automatic weapon into America. Who knows what that is? Is it new? Does it have new capability? I don't know. I mean, maybe it doesn't have new capabilities, but it's a bomb that. But for the grace of God, it never happened. We arrested him, so he's facing, according to his sentence in September 30th, 2019, is going to be a sentencing according to Judge Andrew Hannon. There's a DOJ press release. This is statistically significant, right? This guy, Can Shurkan, faces up to 20 years in federal prison and a maximum of $250,000 possible fine. He's remained in custody now. Thank you for now the FBI. You know, we're ready to jump on the corruption. Now there is obviously the Mueller Comey wing of the FBI, which you know is corrupt, right? But the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force did a fabulous job here, and we got to give them credit, right? They've done a lot of fabulous work for this country. And unfortunately, we got corruption in the United States government. It's kind of whack when you hear the Democrats say there's corruption in the government. Duh, right? Right? And you got the Mueller Comey wing of the FBI, and you got the Brennan Morrell Panetta wing of the CIA. Corrupt. Truth be told, right? So that's our Trump border wall update. And when you look at the vector, it's unequivocally, we believe we're creeping toward incontrovertible truth. right, with these vectors, right? That vector, as the president is well aware of the Iranian vector of 130 tons to 350 tons of uranium, and we talk about this all the time, uranium 235, if you put that through the nuclear fission process, 1 kilogram, 1 in 1,000 part of uranium 235 produces 9, this is my physics books, 9 times 10 to the 13 joules of heat energy. That's 9 and 13 zeros. That's an awful lot of energy in 1 kilogram. See, when I laugh when I listen to these lefties, right? They say, "Oh, you know, it's like a 0.0001 chance, 0.001 chance of a terror attack happening in America," right? This is their logic. You know, I'm an Islamophobic. I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi. I'm a xenophobic. The names I never even heard of, right? And then I say, yeah, when I hit 0.001, I think of uranium 235. You know, that's the difference. That's the difference right here, right, son? It's a difference. So before I get off the air, I just want to add now. I'm going to give you a little prelude of what I'm going to talk on Monday. Monday morning is my next show, right? I'm going to give you a little prelude. Now, this is what I mean about statistical. This is what I mean by statistical significance. And within we have peer-reviewed journal articles. This is a law journal article by Kelly Moore. She's a 20-year U.S. attorney. And this was her assessment of the name of the article is The Role of Federal Criminal Prosecutions in the War on Terrorism. So basically, she gives you the pre 9/11 FBI investigations and the post 9/11 investigations. This article, I'm gonna read excerpts from this article exclusively Monday morning. Is on my next show. Right? Exclusively. It's going to be, I'm going to drill down on the focus. But basically, just to give you an overview, apparently, the initial move by the radical Islamists in the 90s was illegal money transfers, right? And that happened in the Blind Sheikh's Mosque, Al Farouk Mosque, the Muhammad Al Nuri Mosque in Jersey City with Musa Abu Mazouk, and that eventually became the Holy Land Foundation trial, the biggest money laundering scheme for terror in this nation's history. And we talk about the history of this, and we talk about there were indictments in before Obama got in, the Obama Clinton crime family got in. Once the Obama family got in, right, the Obama Holder Justice Department dropped the charges, and that's what you got. You go to the Google and you put in Louis Gohmert and Holder and the Holy Land Foundation trial, and you'll see the Oversight Committee meeting, and you'll see Louis Gohmert going crazy on Eric Holder. Why did they drop the charges? Right? That's how we found out about Muslim Brotherhood and Muslim Brotherhood's intentions in this country, which isn't good, right? So in this article, she talks about the beginnings of, because it starts, the father of Homeland terrorism is Omar Abdul Rahman, the blind sheik, right? And illegal money transfers, right? So the FBI had it down like a science, right? They had the informants, because let's be honest and real, we don't have. They're overworked, these agents. So they use informants to help manage what the heck is going on because let's be honest and real, Hamas, and we know from the Hamas conference in the 90s that they are very much aware of our civil liberties. So they use them against us. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion. They got 2,000 mosques in this country. And in much instances, many of these mosques are breeding ground for terrorism, right? And then we got like the freedom to politically assemble peacefully is a right that Americans have, right? And also a right that Americans have. Businesses cannot deny services based on race, creed, color, gender, sexual orientation. They cannot. That's un-American, right? So this is what we believe in. So they take our rights that we believe in, our civil liberties that we believe in, that are inherent in the Constitution, and these radical Islamists use them against us, right? So they'll get the terrorists, these whack jobs, but some of them are educated, right? They'll blow up buildings like they did over here numerous times, right? I point to Mandalay Bay was the last horrific one in 2017, which we still don't have the answer to, right? And then Muslim Brotherhood creeps in. Muslim Brotherhood operatives are very educated. They talk about Christian, Judeo relations with Muslims. They talk the right game, but their intentions are completely opposite. And that's what we have to do. That's what we're dealing with Muslim Brotherhood. That's the biggest problem we have. Because with Islam, we could identify the ones pretty much. The mainstream intelligence community has a very good idea, 90+% of who's pulling the trigger. What we don't know is the difference between the peaceful Muslims and the ones that sympathize, whether they materially support, whether they just basically sympathize with the radical Islamists. And they're cheering in the streets, or like, for example, San Bernardino, where Saeed Farouk and Tasfeen Malik are shooting, and they were materially supporting. Who got them the guns? The brother-in-law, Enrique Marquez. Who knew about it? The father, the mother, the grandmother, the uncle. It goes from 2 shooters to 10 people that had the pipe bombs in the streets in San Bernardino. And neighbors were afraid because of the environment that the Obama-Clinton crime family created. They didn't want to be called a racist if they reported the people with the pipe bombs in the streets. That's how stupid and crazy this whole thing has become. Getting back to the article. Kelly Moore, this U.S. attorney, claims that they changed their strategy, did the radical Islamists. They're entering so they're getting into our country, so that they started to go away from this illegal money transfers, because you had guys like Abid Al-Fiji who owned an ice cream parlor on Atlantic Avenue over here in Brooklyn, and he had $21 million in his bank account, funneling money to the jihadi training camps in the North African Middle Eastern region, as did Mohammed Al-Mawad case, which I'm going to bring into this thing next week, where he was actually, they had him, they actually, it was so bad that the United States government extradited him to face criminal charges for terror financing. He $20 million to Al-Qaeda, $5 million to Hamas, and he was found guilty on both charges, right? And he got off on one of them on a technicality, and he pleaded guilty on the lesser one, $5 million to Hamas, and he got deported they sent him back to Yemen. So what happening, the trend in the early 2000s was to go away from the illegal money transfers, because the FBI was onto them, and they went in through the diplomats. And this is where this thing gets really crazy, right? Because you got diplomats, as in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, like Mohammed Ahmed Youssef. He was a diplomat that entered our jurisdiction with a diplomat visa. These are educated people. And the FBI has them on tape talking, the Sudanese mission, talking to Sajid Ali, who spoke perfect English from Sudan. He was Omar Abdul Rahman, the blind sheik's translator. So we got diplomats who are here supposed to be talking about peace and educated people aiding and abetting the radical Islamists so they can blow up buildings. So listen to this one. I'm going to get off on this one. I'm going to get off the air, because this is where we're going to go tomorrow. Monday, not tomorrow. Monday morning. I'm taking the weekend off. So it's crazy, right? So we got Sajid Ali, the 1993. He was the point guy in 1993 World Trade Center bombing, right? We got Abu Alima from Egypt, and we got this guy Mohammed Salah that provided the 200 gallons of diesel fuel, right? So the diplomats, like in the Sudanese mission, was talking to Sajid Ali about where to go, where to case, so we can blow up buildings and kill Americans. In the same conversation, he wanted to know where Mubarak was. You don't want to know why? He wanted to know Mubarak's itinerary. Why? Because he wanted to find out where he was outside of Egypt, so they could kill him. They could assassinate him. In that same conversation, from America to Sudan, Africa, that's right below Egypt. Beyond belief, right? A conversation in the 90s. So I showed you today with my vectors. Go to frankierusso.media, americasteam.today, and you'll see the vectors. And they're validated by a New York Post article in February of 2019. And you can see the vectors, how they started in 2000, how the radical Islamists were using them to meet their 9/11 Imam Anwar al-Awlaki. That same vector, the Mexican drug cartel today is using that vector to smuggle their drugs from the poppy fields of Mexico all the way to the streets of New York. beyond belief. President Trump is 400% right about the border. The three biggest vectors that we have to watch, Americans have to be careful of: the uranium, the 130 tons to 350 tons of uranium that Iran has with Russia. They're building nuclear reactors, and according to Netanyahu and the Mossad, they're actually proliferating. And Iran has a nuclear bomb. Nobody wins here with nuclear war. Nobody wins in war, let alone nuclear war, right? Nobody's talking about war. Nobody's talking about dropping bombs. But nobody wins in nuclear war. Everybody loses. It's beyond belief, right? And then you got this other vector that we talked about. I showed you from the poppy fields of Mexico to DC. So President Trump's trying to shut down both of these vectors. The other vector is oxidative stress that Americans have to face. So we're going to get to that one down the road, not too distant future. So this is how I'm leaving off tonight. Today, I'm usually broadcasting at night, but I'm going to start broadcasting in the morning. My schedule suggests that. It's great for me. I love it. I'm going to try to work on this light over here for my next show. And if I think I take care of this light, we're good, right? So thank you so much for the visit. Raymond, God bless you. Thank you for the visit. I hope you're doing great. Looks like you're doing great. God bless you all in the room. Thank you for the visit. God bless you all. And if you don't like Trump, it's okay. Just don't get disrespectful of the president. You don't have to agree with his policy. No problem, Dan. It'll be on Facebook. It'll be archived on Facebook. I got a YouTube channel, Frankie Russo TV. I'll be on Monday morning again. I'm going to try to work on this light over the weekend. Yeah, so you have to watch me live. I'll be on. I'll be podcasting it on Facebook Live. Also, it's on my story, the storyline I have, and it's also on my YouTube channel. It'll be on my YouTube channel because I'm YouTube Live and Facebook Live at the same time. And it's Frankie Russo TV, and you'll see the latest show. I have also on my YouTube channel. I have some WABC shows I did. I did 143 hours of 77 WABC. I had a scope show on Twitter. I did 1,000 hours up here on my couch. And now, because we're looking to grow the show out, we're going to use YouTube to grow the show out, and we'll see, because we're getting a lot of feedback from the networks. Who knows? With the grace of God, maybe we'll end up back at ABC. It'll be unbelievable. So this is where we are right now. Okay. So I'm going to drill down on the Kelly Moore article Monday morning, and that's where we are, right? And God bless you all in the room. Thank you for the visit. God bless the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your service, providing me with the freedom. Hey, Simon, thank you for the visit, providing me with the freedom that I could do what I love to do. And one of the things I love to do is broadcast. So God bless the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. God bless the greatest country on the planet, America. I love my country. And people are, I'm a Trumper, right? But people, thank you, Dan. God bless you. So people are entitled to their opinions. I don't agree with the lefties, but they're entitled to their opinions. When they get disrespectful, what's up, Simon? It's when they get disrespectful, calling our president a racist, which he's not, saying that he supports Al Qaeda, which he's not. If you want to sit down and drill down on the issues, we can do that. I got no problem with that. That's American, right? And you go with the grace of God, November 3rd, 2020, and you vote. And with the grace of God, our great president, which I believe, with the grace of God, the hand of God is on our great president, and he's going to get reelected. It's going to be a bloodbath, right? But I believe our great president, hashtag Trump 2020 landslide. I think we're going to look at something like a Reagan-esque victory, but for the grace of God, we got to get our great president reelected, right? So God bless the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. God bless the greatest country on the planet, America. And God bless our great president, Donald John Trump. This is Frankie Russo. I'll see you Monday morning, 10-ish, 9:30-ish, Eastern Standard Time. Have a blessed weekend. This is Frankie Russo, and I'll see you in the future. That's Facebook. God bless you all. This is Frankie Russo. Tell you all at YouTube. I'm over here. That's my Facebook Live. This is Frankie Russo, and I'll see you in the future. My last show of the week. Monday morning, 9:30, 10 o'clock. My next show will be Monday morning. and I just